So in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus lays out this teaching that it cuts right to the heart of our integrity. It challenges the whole idea of needing promises or oaths or sworn statements. Today, we're going to break down exactly what he said and why it was, and still is, so incredibly radical. But before we dive in, let me ask you something. Just think about this for a second. What if your word was always enough? I mean, what if your personal integrity was so absolute, so rock solid, that you never, ever needed an oath or a contract just to be believed? It's a powerful idea, right? Let's explore that. Okay, so to really get why Jesus' teaching was such a bombshell, we've got to step back in time. We need to understand the culture he was speaking to. This was a world where oaths weren't just some formal thing. They were woven into the very fabric of daily life. All right, so Jesus starts by referencing something everyone listening would have known by heart. He says, "Again, ye have heard that it hath been said by them of old time, Thou shalt not forswear thyself, but shalt perform unto the Lord thine oaths." See, in his day, an oath wasn't a casual, "I promise." Nope, it was a sacred, legally binding thing, a huge part of the world. So what exactly was an oath back then? Well, it was a sacred vow made directly to God. It was both legally and spiritually binding. You were literally calling on God to be your witness. And because of that, breaking an oath, that was a huge deal. It wasn't just being dishonest. It was seen as profaning God's name itself. So you can see, keeping your sworn word was absolutely a cornerstone of being a righteous person. But you know how it goes with rules, right? People start looking for ways around them. And that's exactly what happened here. This sacred duty, this commitment to truth, well, it started to devolve into a kind of legal game. You had religious experts coming up with these incredibly complex, hair-splitting rules to figure out which oaths were really binding and which ones maybe not so much. And what this did was create a culture where you could sound super devout, but you were actually building all these little escape clauses and backdoors into your promises. And Jesus called this out directly. He gave this perfect example of the kind of loophole people were using. They'd make this clever little distinction, like swearing by the temple might not be binding. But if you swore by the gold of the temple, well, that was serious. You see what's happening? It's a system of technicalities that just completely guts the whole idea of telling the truth. So it's into this whole mess, this culture of creative promise-keeping and legal gymnastics, that Jesus drops a command that is just stunning. Absolutely stunning in how simple and how sweeping it is. So he says, "But I say unto you, swear not at all, neither by heaven." And he immediately gives the reason, "For it is God's throne." His logic is so simple but so profound. You can't use heaven as your bargaining chip, as your collateral, because it doesn't belong to you. It's God's. And he keeps going, "Nor by the earth, for it is his footstool." He's using the same logic, right? He's actually echoing the prophet Isaiah here, driving home this point that all of creation, every bit of it, belongs to God. Next up is Jerusalem. "Neither by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king." Again, same exact logic. You can't swear by the holy city because it's not yours to swear by. It's God's city. You just can't use what belongs to God to prop up your own credibility. And then he brings it right down to the most personal level imaginable. "Neither shalt thou swear by thy head." Why? Because thou canst not make one hair white or black. Think about that. You don't even have ultimate control over your own body. It's a brilliant, humbling point. So you see the pattern here? The logic is just airtight. It all boils down to one simple, powerful truth. Since everything, heaven, earth, the city, even you, ultimately belongs to God, you can't make an oath by anything without involving him. There's no such thing as a non-binding or a lesser oath. Every single promise you try to back up like this is by default an oath made before God. Okay, so if Jesus is saying swear not at all, what's left? What's the alternative? How are you supposed to communicate with conviction and have people actually believe you? Well, Jesus replaces that whole complicated, loophole-ridden system with something radically simple. He says, "But let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay." Basically, let your yes be yes and your no be no. That's it. No qualifiers, no swearing, no fine print. And you have to understand, this is so much more than just a new rule for how to talk. It's a call to become a certain kind of person. It's about cultivating a deep, personal integrity, a sense of being whole and undivided, so that your simple yes or no carries all the weight of a sworn oath, without needing one. And that last part of the verse, for whatsoever is more than these cometh of evil. Wow, that's a heavy statement. What Jesus is suggesting is that the very reason we feel the need to swear on things, the reason we have to say, I swear to God, is because we live in a world that's kind of broken, a world full of deceit and mistrust, where a simple yes just doesn't feel like enough anymore. And make no mistake, this wasn't just some off-the-cuff remark from Jesus. This teaching became a core, foundational principle for the early church. I mean, look at this. The Apostle James, who is Jesus' brother, he repeats the command almost word for word. He even says, above all things, swear not. That tells you just how essential this was. So, let's bring this all together. What's the big takeaway here? How does this ancient teaching challenge us? Right here, right now. What Jesus is doing is calling for a fundamental shift in how we think about righteousness. It's a move away from the old way, which was all about external performance, about following these legalistic rules. And it's a move toward the new way, which is about internal transformation. It's about developing a state of being where truthfulness is just your default setting. Put simply, it's a call to become the kind of person whose word is their bond, a person whose character is their collateral. When you're that person, all those external proofs of honesty, the swearing, the promises, the contracts, they just become unnecessary. So, when you boil it all down, this teaching really wasn't about adding another rule to the list. No, it was an invitation, a vision for people, for a whole community who no longer need these external props because their integrity is their currency. It's a vision for a life built not on loopholes, but on unshakable truthfulness. And that really leaves us with a challenging thought, doesn't it? In our world, a world that runs on fine print and legal contracts, what would it take for our word, once again, to truly be enough?